If you would have told a younger me, someone who grew up loving the character of Venom, that we would one day have a full cinematic trilogy based around this character, I probably wouldn't believe you. What makes it even stranger is that we have 3 movies, and yet I feel zero emotional connection to this version of the character or this world. The way that Sony wasted Venom, wasted Tom Hardy, and wasted the potential of this iconic character needs to be studied. Let's discuss.
I watch so you don't have to. We are Venom.
We're gonna need to work on that.
Before I get started, I'd like to kindly ask that you hit the like button and please subscribe to the channel for more content just like this.
Come on. Do it. Do it!
The official synopsis for Venom The Last Dance reads as follows. Eddie Brock and Venom must make a devastating decision as they are pursued by a mysterious military man. And that's it. That's all they give you to sell you on the prospect of seeing this movie. When you actually watch the movie, it does kind of make sense why the synopsis feels incomplete, because the film itself also feels incomplete. The whole time I was watching Venom 3, I couldn't help but feel like I was watching a portion of a movie, or portions of different ideas for a Venom movie kind of crammed together. It wouldn't surprise me one bit if I found out later on that the script for this movie had multiple rewrites, and that they finished off production of the film with a round of misguided reshoots. Even the name of the film suggests that this movie is intended to be this big emotional send-off for the character. And there are moments where that more emotional movie pokes its head out, and you as the viewer feel like, okay, maybe they're trying to say something here.
I'm in a glass case of emotion!
There's one scene earlier in the film where Eddie is riding in a van with this eccentric family who is on vacation. And the scene has glimpses of this heartfelt moment where we get to see how Eddie has progressed as a character through the course of 3 films. And it even gives you a glimpse of what his life could have been like had things kind of went different for him. It was a nice little scene, and I think this movie needed more scenes like it to make you actually give a shit about Eddie as a human being. The problem is that these little moments sprinkled throughout are surrounded by this loud, obnoxious bag of shit. If you are one of those people who say that the Venom movies are just good fun, and you can enjoy them on the surface level, then fine, I can understand that. But when you actually stop and think about where the character came from, I'm talking about the actual genesis of his creation, it's easy to see how Sony has fumbled quite possibly one of the coolest characters to ever grace a comic book page.
Why are you the way that you are?
The Venom movies have gotten a lot of praise for the back and forth dialogue between Venom and Eddie. And I think in the first movie, it felt kind of fresh, and it was mildly amusing, and I think people just kind of learned to tolerate it. But by the 3rd movie, I assure you that that shtick has most definitely run its course. The whole gimmick has kind of de-evolved to a point where the character feels like more of a parody of Venom than it does Venom himself. I mean, they have quite literally turned Venom into a walking, talking joke. The lethal protector, the absolute badass that he is doing the fucking tango in this movie. I mean, this is Thor Love and Thunder levels of completely missing the point of this character.
Whatever it is that you're offering, we're not into it. Don't care, couldn't care less.
Where is that 90s anti-hero edge that made the character so popular in the comics? You never really get to see it, at least not to the extent that you hope to, because they are too busy using the character as a walking punchline. There was potential here to really dive into the Eddie and Venom relationship in a way that is both memorable and satisfying. Instead, they kind of just mail it in. The filmmakers went into Venom 3 under the assumption that what we've seen from this character already in 2 previous movies was enough to make people get emotionally invested in his finale. But it wasn't enough. I mean, it might be enough for some people, but when you love the original character in the way that I do, you know that there is potential there for something more that would make this story resonate a lot more. Sure, there's some entertaining moments in this movie, like when the Venom symbiote attaches itself to random animals as a way of catching up to Eddie. But again, it's all surface level bullshit. Eye candy designed to distract you from the fact that you are watching a shallow, almost lifeless story.
If fool me, we can't get fooled again.
They even went into this movie with the clear intention of expanding on the lore of the symbiotes, but they only had the time and the patience to do it in an exposition-y, Cliff Notes type of way. The villain of the movie, who is revealed to be the creator of the symbiotes, doesn't really do a whole lot of anything. It feels like he was written into this movie just to set up an appearance in a future movie. Now, it's not as egregious as when they completely missed the mark with a villain like Carnage, but it did make me feel like that including a villain of this caliber in this way was a complete waste of time. He was just underdeveloped, underutilized, and almost completely forgettable.
I don't care!
Also, I can't stress this enough because it seems to happen a lot in modern movies, but do people not know how to write or deliver believable dialogue anymore? There are two side characters in this movie, one played by Chiwetel Ejiofor and the other by Juno Temple. Two capable actors the last time I checked, yet somehow when they are speaking in this movie, it's like the dialogue is so bad that it was impossible for them to deliver it in a convincing way that make them feel like actual human beings. I mean, Daniel Day-Lewis himself could have been reciting some of these lines and still not be able to pull any kind of emotion out of them. Chiwetel's character is one note and in no way utilizes the actor's talents, and Juno Temple's character gets a random forced backstory where I'm not sure if they were setting her character up for a solo film that no one wants, or they were just using her to pad the runtime. Either way, I really didn't give a shit about either of these people.
How can you not care?
Like this.
There's also the traveling family of characters that feel like they were ripped right out of the MCU playbook when it comes to quirky side characters. Sony certainly has a talent for trying to mimic the MCU formula and somehow making it even worse. As far as the ending goes, it is a big CGI slugfest, as you would expect. It's one of those finales where you can tell that they are trying to go big, but it falls short because the conflict hasn't been established in a way to make it feel like there are real stakes. Bottom line, Venom 3 is just more of the same when it comes to the Sony Venom movies. I guess if you really liked the first two movies, then you might enjoy this one as well. If you desire something that even closely resembles the badass character from the source material, then you will most likely be disappointed. It's almost impressive how they took a character that literally gained notoriety based on his coolness factor, and somehow made him distinctively not cool or interesting. Venom 3 had me on the brink of literal comatose in the theater because of how dull and uninspired it felt. It's literally just another Sony Marvel movie in a long list of indistinguishable Sony Marvel movies. I mean, when you consider that Sony owns both Spider-Man and Venom, and yet we have still yet to see these characters interact with each other, that is a massive L in itself, especially when you consider again that this is intended to be a send-off. For all of these reasons and more, that is exactly why I'm going to give Venom The Last Dance the Angry Rocky.
That's right, it stinks!
Y'all be cool. Right on.